Okay. Yep. Okay. Okay. 103. And we're rolling in just a moment. Yep. Agreed. We are live. No question about it. Yep. I'm telling you. I agree. All right, here we go. Yes, Road Patrol Live later. That is happening. Yep. I am fascinated by this story in New York, of which it sounds like they're closing in on uh, the gunman. Sure sounds that way anyway. Okay, folks, Magritte is up to his old tricks. We're going to be live in just a moment. Again, we are live on YouTube, excuse me, X, Facebook, and then obviously the radio. Yes, yes, yes. Let me just see the latest here. I mean, that's just completely crazy. Good. I love it. Look at that. Governor of New Hampshire. Imagine having a governor like that. Unlike the current stooge we have. Oh, wow. Who is that? Okay. Oh, I didn't know that. The guy that fired the gun, Michael Mancini, was in court. At the feast. Yep. I'm not sure why you would bring a weapon to the feast, but nonetheless. All right. Wow. And folks, good afternoon at 105, almost 106. Wow, we're early. Yes, 105. 105 on this Thursday. Is this true? Is the rain not done? No, the rain should be done for the day. Yes, okay. Well, good afternoon. This is the real news. I'm just pointing out, now, right now, folks, we are live on AM 1380 and 99.9 FM, but we're also live on Facebook, on our page, and then also on our YouTube page, and then also on X. So all of our platforms continue to take off and grow. Excuse me. It's amazing. TikTok has now actually become our number one platform, how it is overtaken. I was just mentioning the governor of New Hampshire, and I'm going to mention that in just a moment. Now, that's a real governor. That is a true governor, is who that is. Unlike who we're stuck with, who is essentially, we are stuck with almost a state version of Biden. And in some ways, it almost emulates. Like, of course, Lieutenant Governor Matos. I like this, and I'm very glad Channel 12 reported Lieutenant Governor Matos is in Washington, D.C. for the next 3 days, but she only disclosed it when WPRI, Ted Nesi, when he learned that she was out of town, and then said, "Hey, is the Lieutenant Governor out of town?" "Oh, yeah, she's out of town." But listen, this is who these people are. But folks, this portion of the program of the real news is brought to you by PR Landscape Materials and Garden Center. Christmas season is here. We got a little taste of it this morning with a little bit of, depending on where you are, northern part of the state, certainly got a little bit, tiny bit of snow. For the most part, it's all most of the state, it's melting away. Of course, the roads weren't even treated, so it was very dangerous on the roads this morning. Fraser fir trees, potted live trees, custom handmade wreaths, 10 and 60 inches in size. They have Christmas swag and mistletoe, hanging baskets. They have roping, cut greens, decorative pots and cemetery baskets, Christmas crafts. Also, it's florist quality poinsettias, custom made sleighs from local artists. Firewood is available for pickup and delivery. They're open 7 days a week. It's PR Landscape Materials in Garden Center. Folks, stop in and see them. 3688 Quaker Lane in North Kingstown. They are just terrific to deal with. Local run company, family owned, family run. It's PR Landscape Materials and Garden Center. PR Landscape Materials and Garden Center. Pop in and see them. Now, right now, as we speak, it's 108 on this Thursday. I know people had a difficult morning commute and the mess, it was very sloppy out, so to speak. It certainly seems, according to the weather, that is gone for the day. Now, immediately after, at past 2:00, we're going to post. We do have some body cam footage of the arrest of the standoff, the Warwick police, the arrest, that 2-hour standoff. We were the only ones there, but we will have that footage posted on the website, dpetro.com, coming up after 2:00. And folks, this portion of our program is brought to you by, and they're sponsors of the website, dpetro.com, and we're so grateful for them. It's the Coesit Inn, 226 Coesit Avenue, West Warwick, a Rhode Island tradition since 1977. Remember, as I like to say, whether it's lunch right now or dinner or drinks in the lounge, they have the nice big lounge there. It's beautifully decorated for the holiday season. Good place for a gathering. Now, they also have the market at Coesit that is open, but the Coesit Inn, they're open 7 days a week. And remember, the thing about the Coesit Inn is it's very spacious, so they can accommodate large groups. It's a perfect spot. Listen, death is part of life, dealing with it, but they could host a collation lunch. So you have the beloved, the deceased that passes away. You have the funeral. Where are we going to go? It's during the week. They could accommodate 30 people. They could accommodate a collation lunch of 40 people. They could accommodate 50 people, 100. The Coesit Inn could accommodate 150 people. The Coesit Inn, and you're really going to love the market at Coesit. It's right there. When you walk into the restaurant, it's right there inside on the left. They have great gift baskets, great gourmet items, prepared meals. The Coesit Inn, 226 Coesit Avenue in West Warwick. And again, perfect spot. You want to get together with some people for the holidays. You're going to love it at the Coesit Inn. And again, I like a nice big crowd in the lounge. Now, we want to stay up to speed, on this news of the day. I'm fascinated by what happened in New York, and I want to just double check and make sure that we don't miss anything. And I'm talking about that was really remarkable. Basically, a broad daylight assassination taking place. Now, right now, the latest I had heard was that they were seeking a search warrant for a residence in New York, where I believe they believe that the gunman, where that individual was staying. So, that's a huge development. I want to just, I'm checking. They have some new photos. There are photos of the gunman wanted for questioning regarding the Midtown Manhattan homicide, December 4th. Certainly not a random act. So, but the story of this individual who was like stalking out this head of United Healthcare, Brian Thompson, and maybe a lot of people, you've seen it now, where he comes right up and it's like something out of a movie with a silencer. I've heard from people in the movies, you see like a mob guy or a James Bond film, somebody goes in, boom, boom, boom with the silencer. But if you talk to people that are familiar with it, and we'll talk about it tomorrow with George from Rhode Island Guns and Ammo, a lot of times the big thing about those silencers is they jam, but this guy like flawlessly, it's jamming and he does it. I not wearing the same fancy backpack in that one. So we switched even backpacks. Not shy about leaving side palm prints on the counter. So that's interesting. So it sure sounds as though they're moving in on this individual with the shell casings with the words deny, depose, and defend written on them. And what's also interesting about that is there's a book that's entitled that, and it has to do with the healthcare system. Now, as much as NBC 10 went after a town councilor in Johnston, Michael, I think his name is Pigatori, who said, hey, I predict if we do this, this is going to be, the Johnston version of Chad Brown in 20 years. And I think what he was talking about is, I mean, no one right now would deem Chad Brown, or as I've said, any of the housing projects in Providence a success. As someone that deals with them, I was at Hartford Avenue last Friday night. That's a huge housing complex. You also have, we were Chad Brown just a week ago, the Wednesday night, and there were, at least I counted 25 shell casings. I was unaware that anything was written on them. But as much as he was, he's saying I used the wrong wording to say that, that the Chad Brown housing project hasn't proven out. Channel 10 created a controversy of, that's a racist statement that he's saying. And Channel 10 floated it out. And then Royas, the city council person in Providence, said that is a racist statement. Well, there's another Providence rep, with the exception of Dan McGowan, who has pointed out that Dan McGowan put it out that there's a rep in Providence, Enrique Sanchez, that he took to X, formerly Twitter, yesterday to say, well, as if it's out of nowhere, but this Enrique Sanchez, who's a state rep, who's basically a communist, he put out, health insurance companies are responsible for the deaths of hundreds of thousands of Americans each year when denying claim. So he tweeted that at 12:26 yesterday. Are we supposed to believe that was an accident? No. He was basically trying to say, justify, well, this happened to this guy, but they're responsible, blah, blah, blah. Now, this is a state rep. Now, mind you, no one from the Rhode Island Republican Party has reacted to it. He should be called out. Here's what he put, this state rep Enrique Sanchez. He's the one that Providence police gave a hard time to because he was going to these after-hour, they call them sip joints, but these after-hour clubs. And there's one member of the Providence police that gave him a hard time about it and said, there was a homicide at one of these. And it goes back a while ago. But anyhow, and he was like, oh, no, these are my people. But this state rep, Enrique Sanchez, he put, I don't support the assassination of the United Healthcare CEO. Folks, what does it say that you're an elected official in Rhode Island? And I don't support the assassination of this Brian Thompson, as opposed to what? See, the local media that went after Rep. Justin Price, he was at the Capitol on January 6th, and every Republican running for office. Do you admit the election was won by Biden? Do you support January 6th? Are you election denied? Trump and January 6th, blah, blah, blah. You have a state rep saying, now just to be clear, I don't support the assassination of this Brian Thompson. And my question is, as opposed to what? Saying what? That you do support? Like, the United Healthcare, the guy is gunned down in front of the hotel in broad daylight in New York City, blocks from Rockefeller Center. And a state rep says, no, listen, I don't support that. What are you talking about? Surveillance footage shows the suspect arriving at the scene 10 minutes before the attack. Listen, he had information about this. He arrived 10 minutes forward. He appears to be on the phone. I'm just seeing this right now with the New York Times. Footage captures the moment he approached the executive, but Now this is new footage. He arrived 10 minutes before. He was talking to somebody. This was inside information. Someone gave this guy inside info. He escaped through Central Park. He had a bike waiting for him. They now have his full face that he was at either Starbucks or somewhere else. The police have released that they now have a full shot of him. Delay, deny, and defend. This was a book put out. Why insurance companies don't pay claims and what you can do about it. Delay, deny, defend. That was the name of the book. Authorities have called the murder of CEO Brian Thompson a pre-planned targeted attack. With the search still underway, here's everything we know. But now there's someone who ran for office in Johnston. Let me just find, I don't know who this person is. She decided, because I put out on the platform X, this is an elected representative basically justifying that this guy was gunned down in broad daylight. By the way, I have a New Year's resolution. I guess I could announce it now for next year. I'm no longer going to say, notice the Rhode Island Republican Party doesn't do anything about it. I don't know what else to tell you, folks. I mean, to me, you would be like, boom, in action. If anything, we're going to reach out. Representative Patricia Morgan, she is starting her own organization. I'm going to kind of call her almost the de facto. At least I think she would be more proactive on this stuff, but I don't support. This is State Rep Enrique Sanchez. Why isn't the speaker called out on this? Why isn't the Democrat Party called out on this? I don't support the assassination of the United CEO. Notice he doesn't put the full name because he doesn't want it like totally floating out there. So a state rep puts out that it was basically implying it was justified. So who is this person? Kelsey Coletta. Can you point out where it's implied? Which specific part mentions the murder? Now, I'm not going to respond to this individual. Where does it mention? Listen, at 12:30, the United person is basically gunned down and assassinated. And then you have a state rep saying, health insurance companies are responsible for a lot of people. Kelsey Coletta, I ran for office in Johnston. I don't know who this is, but she has less followers than I do, so I don't respond to people like that. But my point is, the reason he was in fact justifying it. That's why he put that out there. Well, insurance companies, just like there's someone who you can always tell when someone is defending someone. When I don't want to get into a long thing with the whole situation with Alex Jones and Sandy Hook and the people that were supporting him, a soft denial is he wasn't the only one saying that it was all, the whole thing. You can tell when there's a denial. So, and to me, it kind of rings like CNN of most of the protesters were peaceful. Can you tell me where he mentions the CEO, whoever this person is? Yeah, the fact that he's mentioning about insurance companies 4 or 5 hours after the CEO of the biggest one in the country was killed in broad daylight, and then decides that's the time. And if he didn't mean that person, why did he go back and basically apologize and say my condolences to the person? But I want to talk about this situation with Governor McKee. And again, I noticed the media covers for him with their headline and the way they approach the story. Folks, this portion of our program, though, it's brought to you by Kids Club on the Pike. Remember, whether it's birthday parties or before and after school programs, preschool programs, Kids Club on the Pike. It's right on the Cranston-Johnston line. And this is ideal for, you're going to have any type of gathering or party or celebration for children. It's a perfect spot. Kids Club on the Pike, right on Plainfield Pike. I share their Facebook page. The videos are terrific. I've toured the facility. It's clean. It's designed for children. Perfect, whether they're 13 years old or 2 years old. Kids Club on the Pike. And on top of that, they also have preschool programs, before and after school programs. Kids Club on the Pike. look for them on Facebook. And I also want to remind you folks, with cold and flu season and holidays coming, stop it and see Marie. Right now, if you're listening and you're on Mendon Road in Cumberland, you could pop in and see the Queen of Health, Marie, at It's My Health, 1099 Mendon Road in Cumberland, where the entire existence, first of all, Marie is so dedicated to health. Her service is tremendous. She has there's so many things that naturally you could take that are good for you, going to help you, your family. It's My Health, 1099 Mendon Road in Cumberland. I want to just stay on target in the story that I'm talking about. Now, I always have to be sensitive. I know it sounds ridiculous, but you just don't know with certain platforms. One thing I like about Elon Musk and X, formerly Twitter, is basically everything goes. And they let you post. It's kind of like Times Square, the way he described it. There's smart people, there's crazy people, there's normal people. It all gets mixed in, kind of like life. But I like this. Ted Nesi. Sabina Matos, currently in Washington, 3-day meeting of the National Lieutenant Governor Association. Her office confirms. After the Mass Lieutenant Governor's office announced she was there. So, but here's the part that I want to get to. So, and this is really important because ICE Boston has arrested a Guatemalan national accused of sexually abusing a child. You know, he actually looks like the guy that we found. Remember the guy squeaking? Linda Lee, the guy that was squeaking that night on Waverly. ICE arrested Felix Maletz Gucas, 45, Guatemalan national, sexually assaulting a child in Rhode Island. Officials with ICE Boston, Providence's Rhode Island office, took him into custody November 20th, when the Rhode Island Department of Corrections, at the order of Rhode Island Governor Dan McKee, released him despite an active immigration detainer. Do you understand that? This goon, first-degree sexual assault on a child. ICE put a detainer on him. Don't release this guy. What did the ACI do? Released him. Why? Per orders of Governor McKee. Patricia Hyde, ICE Boston Field Office Director. We use immigration detainers as a public safety tool. We asked the Rhode Island Department of Corrections to hold him so we could take him into custody in their facility, but he was released to home confinement. Unfortunately, the ACI, at the urging of Rhode Island Governor Dan McKee and the Lieutenant Governor Matos, they don't turn over home confinement releases. So a team of our officers were forced to arrest him in a public parking lot in Cranston rather than a controlled environment in a custodial setting. Folks, does that make sense to any reasonable adult that is listening? This goon entered the United States at an unknown location. Pawtucket police, listen to it, they arrested him in 2002, 22 years ago. Felony assault on a police officer. He was convicted, sentenced to 6 months probation. Thanks, Judge. The Providence Police Department arrested him. 1 count, first-degree sexual assault on a child. 5 counts, second-degree sexual assault on a child last September. Those charges are pending. Right now, he's in ICE custody. They want to go grab him. What is Governor McKee and what does Governor McKee instruct the ACI to do? Release him. So what does ICE have to do? They have to grab him they have to, scout him out and put surveillance on him. And then as he's going to the store, they have to grab him at a parking lot in Cranston. Does that make sense to anyone? I also want to mention, folks, the mayor of Cranston, Ken Hopkins. I've reached out to him in the past, and he refuses. I'll say this, and I would say this to Mayor Hopkins. He's friendly with Governor McKee. As a result of that, He won't call him out on it. How is that safe for the people of Cranston? Maybe we'll have on Senator Padalano. Maybe we'll have on the new rep from Cranston. Who are we talking about protecting here? Why would you protect someone like that? Let me give you an example of, I know what I want to do. I want to just do the Channel 10 version of that. Now, folks, locally, as you know, our local media, they don't like the stories regarding illegals. How do I know that? Because they don't do any stories on it. They won't do any stories on it. So this has to happen. They don't dig in on stories like this. So let me find the team you can't trust. Why isn't Channel 10 the team you can't trust? Why aren't they doing anything on a sitting state rep that basically thinks it's justified to assassinate the head of United Healthcare? Why aren't they doing a story like that? No, we don't want to go after Enrique. Here's the Channel 10 headline. A Guatemalan national is accused of sexually assaulting a child in Rhode Island. That's not the headline. That's the Channel 10 headline. Folks, I can't stand it. The team you can't trust. Where have you gone, Doug White? What is with this progressive attitude? That's their headline. A Guatemalan national is accused of sexually assaulting a child in Rhode Island. That's not the story. The story is that ICE went to get this goon who doesn't even belong here, and mcKee and the ACI let him go. A Guatemalan national, they make it seem as though, he's like a diplomat visiting. A Guatemalan national, after giving a speech, is accused of sexually assaulting a child in Rhode Island. ICE arrested him on November 20th. So authorities say the Rhode Island Department of Corrections released him to home confinement, despite an active immigration detainer. According to officials, he entered the United States at an unknown location without inspection or parole. Pawtucket police arrested him in 2002. Felony assault on a police officer. He was convicted, sentenced to 6 months probation. Providence police then arrested him. 1 count, first-degree sexual assault. Spoiler alert, that's penetration. 5 counts, second degree. He's in ICE custody. They leave out the fact that ICE had to grab him at a parking lot in Cranston. Why are we taking chances like this? Folks, this just goes to what I have been saying, which is in Rhode Island, elected officials don't protect children. They don't protect children. They don't. Governor McKee, I'm telling you, folks, we're seeing irreversible damage. Now, in Boston, the Boston City Council, in a total act of disgrace, have voted 13-0 to reaffirm sanctuary city status. The governor of New Hampshire posted this on X, Twitter. Our neighbors to the south seem intent on proving that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing and expecting a different result. Kelly Anot. As they struggle with billion-dollar illegal immigration crisis, they're instead choosing to double down. Here in New Hampshire, we're going to ban sanctuary policies and give law enforcement the tools to work together to ensure this crisis never comes to our town. Now, that's a governor. That is a governor who is seeking to protect the citizens. I believe that Boston could end up being the city that they use as an example. And especially, you have that mayor of Boston, Michelle Wu, who took a shot at Tom Homan, who's the new border czar coming in. And I think that Boston might be the place, especially when you have a mayor and a city council that is so brazen. And, you'd get press out of it. And I don't know. Maybe they would do Rhode Island. I wish they would. But maybe they'll send a message to Rhode Island and Connecticut by making an example. Make an example out of Boston. Folks, this portion of our program, now also, there was a very explosive back and forth in Congress. I'm going to play that, and there's still more to get to during this real news. This portion of our program, folks, is brought to you by Propane Plus Heating and Cooling in Rhode Island. If you use propane, call them today, 401 885 4209. In Massachusetts, 508 252 3359. 3 generations, the Johnson family for heating and cooling. You can depend on Propane Plus. Give them a call today or check out their website. They have a very user-friendly website. You just type in your zip code, residential or commercial. It's propaneplus.com, Propane, Propane Plus, heating and cooling. And again, always there for you. Call them today for all your propane needs, 401 885 4209. And in Massachusetts, 508 252 3359 for Propane Plus. Now that is a real governor. I mean, that is a governor. Can you imagine that is your governor? Now, folks, at 1:33, okay, this is police are investigating inside an Upper West Side hostel where the alleged shooter stayed after killing Brian Thompson. So that's interesting. I'm just seeing this right now. So now, hostels.
Hostel, and I didn't see anything. Everything looked peaceful.
Let me see this. Hear this. So there's the police going in. Now, hostels are basically where students stay. A lot of kids, when they travel around, you know, the old thing where kids would graduate college and then they backpack around Europe, they stay in a youth hostel. Really inexpensive, nothing glamorous, kind of like a shelter. And it sure sounds as though the gunman may have stayed there. I want to just hear what they're. The sound isn't that great, but they were on the Upper West Side. Now, I don't know where the Upper West Side exactly. Oh, let me see what that. New York International Hostel. Okay. For 3 years, I lived on the Upper West Side. I lived between Columbus and Central Park West. Let me just see. International Hostel. I just want to see how far up. So they're tracking. That would tell me that maybe he came in from out of town. But where? And where is the guy right now? There it is. Hostel International, New York. What's the address is what I'm looking for. I want to just, okay. Upper West Side. There it is. Oh, there's actually a bunch of them. Upper West Side of New York. So, well, they're not that, I mean, $170. That's still, compared to New York, that's actually a pretty good rate. That's a really good rate, actually, for New York. Okay, so I want to see, just kind of drill in on exactly where this may be. There's several of them on the West Side. Okay, looks to be right around 87th Street. Yep, 87th Street is one. Then there seems to be, is that another one or no? Okay, so it's 87th Street, Upper West Side, between the park and Columbus Avenue. Okay. There used to be a place we'd go to brunch. That's right, kind of near the Museum of History, about 6 blocks from the Museum of History. So the international student on the Upper West Side. So he may have stayed there. Huh. But they don't know where he is as of right now. But that's where boy, look how quickly they are moving on this whole thing. Now, let me just see. There's so much. If you were listening to the radio show, I think, number one, as I've said, those silencers are not, those guns jam. We're going to talk to George tomorrow. The health insurer provider, Anthem, no longer, okay. Let me just see if there's anything else on. Here is a Denmark resident who is staying at the same hotel as the United Healthcare CEO shooter. She has information about the strict check-in progress. What went on inside the hotel during the police investigation. Okay. I think that's interesting if there's a registration process. So police are investigating this Upper West Side hostel where the shooter stayed. But he stayed there after killing him or the night before? Wow. Police released the unmasked. So, boy, this manhunt. Police are on the hunt for the CEO, Brian Thompson, shooter across New York City hostels. Oh, okay. There's also another one. A worker at Karma Central Park Hostel. A uniformed police showed up today at 7 o'clock, showed him a photo of the suspect, asking if he recognized him. Hostel did not recognize the suspect. All right, so they're checking all of them, actually. Huh. I mean, that is so brazen. And initially, as much as people were saying the guy was like such a pro at it, the more that you learn or listen to the way people describe it, especially that he actually, not to get too graphic here, folks, at 1:30, but he should have aimed it higher, and then you wouldn't need as many shots. The way he does line of sight, he actually ends up shooting that Brian Thompson in the leg. Then he goes over, but the silencer in the gun is jamming as he's doing it. So they were trying to revive him. And so you wonder if did the suspect fled on foot and then on city bike into Central Park. So he had the bike. This is still just a massive manhunt. Maybe he is hiding in New York. Maybe he is hiding in New York City. I don't know. I mean, no one knows actually. But all right, let me get back on track here, folks. Yes, because the weather has cleared up, we will be doing Road Patrol Live later. This portion of our program, and it's brought to you by AJ Home Improvement. Now, if you're listening on this Thursday, and maybe you'd like to improve your home or your business, AJ Home Improvement, call them today, 401-323-9252. AJ Home Improvement, framed or finished basements, acoustical ceilings, new homes, additions, commercial rehabs, painting, remodeling. They could do it all. And the acoustical ceilings, what they can do is really remarkable. And it changes the complete dynamic of your home or business when you see what they can do with the ceiling. Or maybe you have an unfinished garage. Maybe you have an unfinished basement. More and more people, let's face it, the housing market is still, there's such a housing shortage and housing is so expensive. More people are realizing, I'm going to fix up the house I have. Rhode Island is going to start to seemingly allow dwellings on property. So maybe you want to turn your garage into a living space. Maybe you want to have a shed on your property turned into a living space, like the Mayor of East Providence. I'll tell you who could do it. AJ Home Improvement. Call them today, 401-323-9252. More and more people, I know in California, what a lot of homeowners are doing is they build a second dwelling. They call it a granny flat. So they downsize, but they don't sell their home. They build a much smaller structure on their property, and then they rent out their main home. And then they just live on the home. And then sometimes family. So now you have like a little compound. AJ Home Improvement, folks. Call them today, 401-323-9252 for AJ Home Improvement. Now, I want to play. So in Congress, this is pretty explosive. The rationale behind this is, hold on. Before I play this, if you've heard, it was the Secret Service in Congress. I want to just double check the latest on this story on the bullets, spikes, bomb threats. Details emerge in the shooting of the United Healthcare CEO. Pre-planned targeted attack. Here's everything we know. Let me just see. Thompson joining it help, blah, blah, blah. Photo. He had been at Starbucks. Additional photos, person of interest wearing a. They now have photos of him not wearing the mask. Multiple shell casings. That part we know about. I always like to just the saying it's certainly not a random act of violence. Paulette Thompson. That is odd when the wife said there have been some threats. I don't know, lack of coverage. There were people threatening him. However, Minneapolis authorities say we were unaware that he was getting any threats. TMZ obtained police records saying a bomb threat had been made targeting his house. No bomb was found on scene. The detective gunman seemed proficient in the use of firearm. His ability to swiftly recover after his gun seemed to jam after he fired his initial shots into Thompson. Video footage of the shooter showed him wearing a black face mask, a hooded jacket, and a backpack of a lighter color. Following the shooting, the suspect fled the scene, initially on foot, later on a bike, last seen in Central Park. Previous reports suggested the shooter used a city bike to escape the scene. On social media, you say they often scrap Citibank data to track the location of bikes. A spokesperson initially vowed blah, 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 but according, they said Citibank was not involved in the escape. It was an unmarked e-bike. Boom, boom, boom. Let me just see if they don't have any other new details. Okay. Folks, what I try to do right now, 144, is you try to, or at least I try, you try to find absolutely the latest. See, this is terrible. You have progressives are celebrating that this guy was taken out. This is what we're talking about. It is demented. They are. It is absolutely demented that these people are celebrating this stuff. But see, that's what that Enrique Sanchez. That's what Enrique Sanchez was talking about. Wow. I'm seeing right now there are these masks that you can buy, and I'll tell you, when you put them on, they're so authentic, meaning it looks so real. Looking at a video of this guy putting on this mask, and it completely changes his complexion and appearance, where if you look at him, it doesn't look like he's wearing a mask. It doesn't look. It's so realistic. It's someone Latino, Hispanic, and he puts it on, and he looks like a person of color with a goatee and a mustache. So, wow, you can buy those, and you just slide them right on. All right, I want to play. Let me just play. This was pretty dramatic. So you have the Secret Service at Congress, and what they I believe what they're trying to ask him is, at ground zero, you were right behind President Trump and President Biden. However, where were you at Butler? And the guy that's asking, this Representative Pat Fallon, he's a rep from Texas. Listen, this guy is no shrinking violet. And what he's trying to establish is, yeah, on 9/11, you're right there. But where were you in Butler when this was going on?
Okay.
This was in Congress.
Remembrance of September 11th? It was. Was it in New York? It was at Ground Zero. Okay. Who's usually at an event like this closest?
This is the rep from Texas questioning the Secret Service. Here it is. Here it is.
Yes, sir, I do. Okay. Was that the remembrance of September 11th? It was. Was it in New York? It was at Ground Zero. Okay. Who's usually at an event like this closest to the President of the United States? Security-wise. The SAC of the detail. Special agent in charge of the detail. Were you the special agent in charge of the detail that day? Actually, let me address this. Could you please, staff, leave that? Oh, no, leave that one up with the circle around me. Thank you. Well, actually, Congressman, what you're not seeing
Special
is the
agent
sack
in charge of the
detail
detail.
off out of the picture's view. And that is the day where we remember the more than 3,000 people that have died on 9/11. I actually responded to Ground Zero. I was there going through the ashes of the World Trade Center. I was there at Fresh Kills. I'm not asking you that. I'm asking you if you were the special agent in charge. To show respect for a Secret Service member that died on 9/11. You're trying to be. Do not invoke 9/11 for political purposes. Oh, I'm not. I'm invoking this. You are, sir. You are out of line. I would like to ask him a question, please. You are out of line, Congressman. Don't try to bully me. I'm an elected member of Congress, and I'm asking you a serious question. And I am a public servant who has served this nation, and you won't answer the question. On our day, on our country's darkest day. Committee will come to order. Committee will come to order. I'm asking you serious questions for the American people, and they're very simple. They're not trick questions. Were you the special agent in charge that day? I wasn't. I was there representing the United States Secret Service, sir. Mr. Ballin, your time's expired. It did not affect protective operation. You were there because you wanted to be visible because you were auditioning for this job. I was there to pay respect for a fallen member of this agency. You endangered President out of line, Congressman. Vice President Harris's life because you put those agents out of position. Did you have a radio with you? Mr. Ballin, your time has expired.
Mr. I did, sir, and you are out of line.
Mr. Chairman. Yes, sir.
Wow. Holy cow. That Secret Service Ronald Rowe clashes GOP Rep Pat Fallon. And it's a hearing on the assassination attempt on President Trump. What he was trying to get at, I believe, is that this guy was just trying to get in the photo. And that's why he was saying, did you have a weapon on you? You were putting other agents out of position. I mean, that's what was really going on here. So, wow. Whew. All right, let me just. I was unaware of this. Co-host Joe Scarborough defends their visit to President Trump tomorrow.
Administration and earlier this month.
I don't know if I can take. I don't know if I can take this.
Because it is the fourth estate.
All right, I'm not gonna play it. I'm not gonna play it live. We just don't have I don't know how long it takes to get to what we want to get to, folks. And I also want to touch on, and again, good afternoon. This is the Real News, and we'll be doing Road Patrol Live later. But right now at 1:50, I want to just mention that we are at a real crossroads in our part of the country, the Northeast. Is how much longer is Rhode Island, Massachusetts, Connecticut? How much longer are these states going to continue with failed leaders, with failed policies, and specifically Rhode Island Governor Dan McKee, who's not shy about taking these long vacations. And Saturday, he's all excited for PCURI basketball. And right now, as we speak, he's at Bally's for some holiday tournament, card tournament or something like that. He likes all the fun stuff. He liked last year, the Army-Navy game. He liked all of that stuff. But right now, I mean, there's no leadership. They don't know what to do. How bad is it right now between Rhode Island and Massachusetts? Massachusetts is now starting to come after Rhode Island companies. Massachusetts, that in the past, they didn't do things like that. And think of that. You had Republican Charlie Baker, and that time he, came down and had lunch with Democrat Governor Gina Raimondo at Angelo's, I believe. I mean, they're different parties. Governor Healy in Massachusetts, they have companies leaving Mass. So now Rhode Island, they consider Rhode Island to be in play. And they consider Rhode Island to be fair game to go after. But next week is an important week because it's the 1-year anniversary of the closing of the Washington Bridge. And as Dan McGowan said, and there's no end in sight. And they don't have a plan. And they don't have anyone around them that has a plan. I think they have lost this administration. They've lost a lot of credibility. I don't think there's any credibility left with the McKee administration. He doesn't seem up to the job of replacing this bridge. And as I have stated, it's 1 year later next week. Not one person has been demoted. Not one person has been terminated. No new person has been brought in. Why would we think the people that led us to where we are right now would then have a clue how to solve this problem? The short answer is they don't. Folks, this portion of the program is brought to you by Watson Materials. Remember, Watson Materials, the largest selection of landscape materials in Rhode Island. Now, this is make the most of your outdoor space, whether it's landscape lighting, pavers, retaining walls, natural stone, cobblestone, decorative stone. Call them, request a quote, Watson Materials, the most complete selection of landscape materials in Rhode Island. 401-885-0600, 401-885-0600 for Watson Materials. You know, earlier I mentioned on the radio show how the mayor of Providence was on Channel 12 yesterday. And of course, he's asked about the Superman building. And it's just another ask. And the building is that much more expensive. And they still want more money. And blah, blah, blah. Folks, do you understand the state and the pattern and the strategies? They're going in the wrong direction. They're going in the wrong direction. The Superman building Rhode Island, somewhere in Providence, should be some kind of an incubator where if you're students from Providence College or Brown or RISD, or, you know, if you're in your 20s, some unique space that you can be, you know, around other innovative startups and try to create a hub and be business friendly and try to get some people to, you know, put some roots down and get some innovation going and have people move in that have, you know, brand new ideas and say, hey, we can't beat you know, it's so affordable and it's really invigorating and it's you know, there's so many people, it's become like a hub of that. It's the opposite. Instead, you have an empty downtown and you have a developer who has a gun to the head that unless I get the public money I want, that building's going to remain vacant. And Providence Place Mall is teetering on the brink. Could Providence survive with an empty Superman building and then Providence Place Mall is even half empty right now? There was a good video I saw on X of this guy. He's in San Francisco, and he's walking through a mall in San Francisco and said, at this time of year at that mall years ago, it'd be packed. You walk through, there's nothing more depressing than going into an empty mall. So it's frightening, it's spooky. It seems like there's ghosts in these malls. You don't want to be San Francisco. San Francisco at one time was an incredible city. And that's why you had Silicon Valley and now their policies have just driven everybody out. So if you're Governor McKee, why do you want to emulate those failed policies? I don't have an answer for you. Folks, this portion of our program, if you are thinking of a new kitchen or bathroom, remember Dreammaker. Dreammaker, their beautiful design center right on Greenwich Avenue in Warwick. Nothing changes a home like a brand new kitchen. Call them, set up an appointment wherever you're listing, 401-433-7272. Dreammaker Bath and Kitchen. Dennis and Christina, they're the type of people you want to deal with. Respect, integrity, customer focus. What a difference it's going to make with your home, a brand new bathroom or kitchen with Dreammaker Bath and Kitchen. Look for them on Facebook and check out their beautiful design center, Greenwich Avenue in Warwick. Well, folks, good afternoon. Now, again, there are states, as I have stated, there are states that are thriving. We're just on the wrong track. I'm starting to think that Boston is setting themselves up, that if you're Tom Homan and you're the Trump administration, maybe we're going to make an example out of Boston Mayor Michelle Wu and their city council as they're all voting that they're going to protect and continue to run these sanctuary states and sanctuary cities. Maybe they're going to maybe they're going to make it's easier if you make an example out of somebody instead of just having it out there as an empty threat. You want to let's show people what's going to happen. Oh wow. All right, someone is posting. I'm seeing this right now, and I don't know if it's accurate. They just killed the shooter outside an apartment in New York. Now, I don't know this account, but somebody posted that. I don't know if that is real. What it shows is in New York City that they're putting someone into the medical examiner, but that it could be fake. It could be fake. God bless me. They're the only ones. See, that is one of the problems. Well, that is one of the problems. You have to map it out. It doesn't seem like it. Okay. I think others would have that. And I think the other New York press would be all over it. So it doesn't seem like it. I also just saw someone wanted some context about the blow up in the hearing. And Pat Fallon held up a picture of Biden, Harris, and President Trump. He noticed he's in the picture near the principals. He's not an agent protecting those people. And so he took exception to that. All right, folks, coming up at 1:59, if you're listening to the radio, you're going to hear the 2 o'clock news. For those that are watching on Facebook or YouTube or on X, we will be doing Road Patrol Live later. Check out tapetro.com later. We will have some of the body cam footage of Warwick Police, the arrest of the suspect with the 2-hour standoff from Tuesday. So the roads are getting better. Be careful out there and enjoy this Thursday. We'll be back later for Road Patrol Live.